I see where their head was at, but it still matters a little bit.
Yeah.
I have this theory, and I'm not a parent, so you should tell me if this is wrong or right. But I always take a perspective of like when I do become a parent, and then the only thing I have to go off of is what didn't work for me. And so I think that one thing that parents don't always do that's important. Why is that funny?
That's, say that
It's a
again.
big list.
Here's my script of being a parent. Is what you said?
Yeah.
Just to do everything.
Just do the opposite of what my parents did.
Okay.
Not everything, but that's what I have to go off
That's
of.
your start, huh?
I think they never explained anything to me, and I'll give you an exact story. I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous episode, but my grandma used to do this thing where she would, and obviously my mom was an alcoholic and my dad wasn't there, so she was gone. I was literally at one point in El Paso was being raised with my grandmother. Must have been like 9 years old. She would never explain to me what I got in trouble for, and she would even use big words that I had no idea what they were. And so, like privileges, like you're gonna lose your privileges. I'm like, take them. Like I don't even know what that is.
That sounds dirty.
Yeah.
I don't need those.
I had no idea what it was. And so she would say that, but she would never explain to me what or why. She would just tell me what is. Will you can't do that, or William. That's how she would never say will. She'll get mad. William. She would yell at me, shoulders back. And she would be like, you can't do this. You're going to stand there until you apologize to me. This was one of her go-tos. She would make us stand there, me and Colin both. And I didn't know what an apology was. And I'm like, okay. Like, so I would just stand there. And she would come back every like 15, 20 minutes. So you ready to apologize? And I'm like, no. I know it. I sit there for hours sometimes. She just like spank me and send me to bed.
You're stubborn too, huh?
Well, I just didn't know. Like, it wasn't like I didn't want to apologize. I didn't know what an apology was. And so like my point is like she never explained to me, hey, when you do this, these are the consequences. You need to apologize. You need to say sorry. This is what it looks like. Saying sorry is saying, hey, not just saying the words, hey, I understand why this can make you feel this way. And I'm going to make sure I don't do it again, or at least put in the effort. She didn't break it down for me. She just literally would say that. So one of my things on my list is like fully explain it, right? And so, I use that example, but it's anything. Kids all the time, don't touch that. I see it all the time in public. Don't play with that. You need to respect me. Your kid doesn't know what that word means yet. They're going to match what you're doing, which isn't very respectful in this case. So there's tons of things there, but I think it's important to break it down because in a way that a kid can understand. I'm not asking you to like
developmentally appropriate.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
You think that would be a good thing?
Oh, that's put that on your that should be on the list. Something your parents didn't do that's going to be great for you is just talking to them though. Like you're conversational. You learned it's a big coping skill for you. You're good at it.
Yeah.
You learn how to do that. And that's what your kids want. It's like having a dialogue with them all the time. And it increases their vocabulary. It teaches them to be social. It's really great to hear.
What age is appropriate to stop using like baby talk? Because they did this with Josh. They would say car a lot. I don't know if you remember this. Here, play with your car. So until he was like 15 years old, he said car. And like because they never like. So I've always wondered that like when's a good age? Because obviously when they're a kid, you don't want to be like, hey, what up, dude? Like you want to like if they're children. So I get that, but is there an age, or how do you know?
I mean, it's really more about. I mean, kids are smart. That's the thing. Kids are smart and resilient, and they're going to be awesome. So the number one thing before I even get to that would be, I would tell parents just to relax.
Yeah,
just relax
just
and
chill out.
Just chill out. Chill out.
Use your days off.
Use your days off. Be kind, and just like we are so stressed about everything, but we're so stressed about our kids.
Yeah,
and when you're stressed, you're not flexible. You're not funny. You're not. You're just not doing good at anything.
Those things that your kids probably love about you, right? You forget to do them when you're stressed, like being funny, being joyful.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Even, I mean, everything you're saying about your getting disciplined, right? And they didn't talk to you. I mean, just think if it was the opposite, and they're just like, hey, this is what's going on. This is the boundary you cross. Here's what happened. Here's what's going to happen now.
Yeah.
And you just feel like, all right, I get it. I respect you. I get it. And I don't know. And I do it too. We all do it. It's just what happens when you're a parent. You're stressed and you worry about what your kids are going to be and how they're going to act and if they love you or not. And you're worried about so many things that's where I'd always start is people just need to calm down and invest. Here's what I tell them, if this is okay, is think about what you want your kids to be, not while they're with you, but when they're graduated high school and they've left and people come up to you and say, hey, I met Will and he is, and then you fill in the blank. What are 2 or 3 or 4 things you would want them to say about Will?
Today or when I was a kid?
Yeah, when you have kids and they run into your kids and they say, you know what, I met your kid today, and your kid is what?
Respectful would be
Man,
one.
yeah.
I really hope they're hilarious. Spoiler alert. That's a really good point.
They're respectful.
But if they weren't, they would just leave that off, right? Your kid's very stale, dry humor. They would say, so respectful. He's kind of strange.
I met your son, Will.
He started staring at the sun in the middle of the conversation. No. I hope they say respectful.
Yeah.
Oh, see, funny's not important, but it would be important to me.
It's
but if they didn't, they could still think he's funny. So I'm throwing funny in there. That's an important one. I'm trying to think of which one's the most important. The last one, I would say it's important that they're like charismatic, like they're fun to talk to, and it wasn't just like, hey, how's it going? You're doing great. So those would be the three things. So I see what you're getting at.
And they'll maybe say they'll end up putting like hardworking in there somewhere.
Yeah,
friendly.
Whatever they observe on that interaction.
Yeah,
right?
they'll put all these things in there. That's what I want my kid to be. And like, well, then that's just how you have to be to your kid.
That's a good point.
You want your kid to be respectful, you be respectful, and not and to other people and to them, because that's what they're going to be. They're going to be what you put into them.
Yeah,
they're not going to be any of those things that you mentioned from fear, are they?
No, 100%.
Especially not funny.
Fearful funny. Just a bunch of like aggressive jokes. I'm scared, but it's kind of funny. I don't know. I feel like I get what you're saying. I think that's super important. The issue is when you're not the best model, right? And certain people are the best models, whatever. Certain people are better than others, but we all have things we don't want to teach our kids. So, I mean, in that case, I guess you can hope that your partner is one of their strengths, right? Mm-hmm. But let's just say it's like, I'm this way, but I want my kid to be better than that or not to do that. Then how do you model that?
Okay, same. So you did it perfectly. You said, here was an experience I had as a kid, and I didn't like it, and I want to be different. So I'm going to talk to my kids more. I'm going to explain things to them. But if people even do that out of fear, they'll over-explain, and they'll be too worried about explaining everything, and then it can go wrong too.
Yeah. So there's no right way, but I just think it's important. I think it's a good starting point. I think if you try to explain stuff, and I think you can mix it up. I think you can. The reason I was asking about the age is my theory. Again, I'm just basing this off of what didn't happen with me. Mm-hmm. Is that you can do both. You can be when it's a child, when they're 2, 3, 4, 5. You can be the friendly baby talk, mm-hmm. and then when it's something that's in trouble, like, you know what I mean? Because I have friends' kids that I hang out with. That sounds so creepy. I just realized that the parents are there. They're there, and I'm hanging out with them, but I can explain to them what happened. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'll be playing with them, and they'll throw a car at the other one. And I'm like, hey, like, let's make sure, because if you do that and she gets hurt, she'll cry, then we don't get to play cars. That's not very nice. So let's make sure.
Beautiful.
You know, and then they respond, though. Not all of them, right? But there's times where, and then we go right back to like, hey, view. And so I'm thinking there could be a mixture of both.
No, you're nailing it. The narratives are important in talking.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a great skill. You're right on it. It's one of the things we just don't do. Everything you just said. We call it narration in counseling. Like, you're just narrating what's happening.
Yeah.
And they're starting to get it. You know what else is cool about narrating? If parents would do it, is it kind of calms us down. It helps
like
us.
The person doing it.
Yeah. If you're like,
you put on your Morgan Freeman narration voice.
You are now.
He
I'd like to tell you, Andy got
kitchen.
away.
The child stared angrily into the abyss.
Even that. Okay.
That was nice. I feel calm.
You're not going to hit them after that, right? It works. And they're going to be funnier or stare into the sun.
Or they might stare into the sun.
But no, doing that narration, because we start to get it. Like, you're throwing a tantrum because your sister just took that car, but you can't hit her. I know you had a bad day. I know we've been traveling all day long, and you're frustrated and tired and hungry. Mm-hmm. And as you say it, you're starting to like get the perspective of the kid.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah, I think that it's a two-way street, and you're right. And everyone always thinks their kid is smart. This is what I have an issue with. No one wants to hear this, and I'm not telling the people who do this. Everyone thinks their kid is so smart and the smartest kid, and by all means, keep doing it. But I agree with what you're saying. Kids typically are smarter than they give credit for. So when a person says, my kid is so smart, what I interpret that is he's or she is smarter than you thought they were, as opposed to, I have a genius on my hands here. And some people do, by all means. Let's celebrate those kids. But I think for the most part, what people mean when they say that is, I am wowed at my child's level of intellect
that thing came out of me, and look what it can do.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Now show everybody
It
what you can do.
threw 3 Legos at me yesterday, and I didn't even show it how to do that. But that is how it is, right? It's kind of like that. But I think that's what it is. I think people don't genuinely understand that they absorb everything. They're like sponges. And again, I'm speaking as the kid I'm not a parent, but I was that kid. And I was way more aware that, like, I remember sitting there and like, let's not do this in front of the kid. He doesn't know what he's talking about. All right, let's go over here so the kids don't know we're dealing these drugs. It literally happened, and I'm like, all right, like I totally knew. I remember, well, they're gonna go deal, like I knew. But to them, they're standing right in front of me as if I had no idea what was going on. And it amazes me to this day how much people don't understand, like, kids get what's going on. And even if they don't get exactly your language and what these big words mean, you kind of figure it out, right? I mean, if they have like monkey studies where they can put the shapes in the hole. Like, you know what I mean? You observe and figure things out. What do you think we can do as human beings? Hey guys, if you're enjoying watching these clips, then head over to the description so you can go watch the entire podcast episode, or go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, search Talk It Up, look for the gold logo, and start watching. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel as well, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.